All right, so we're about to get started. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Cloud Bell, and I am a community program specialist at the Belmont Library. And I'm excited to be here tonight with Anna Voloshyna, the author of Budmo, Recipes from a Ukrainian Kitchen. Before we begin, I just want to mention two of our upcoming author talks. We have Alka Joshi's The Perfumist of Paris on April 20th, and VC Tang's cook-along event, Come Eat Grandma, Thai Home Cooking on May 18th. And you can sign up for those at smcl.org/author talks. We hope to see you there. So your microphone and your video will be turned off for the talk, but please feel free to use the chat or you can submit your questions in the Zoom Q&A. And for those who'd like to access to the live closed captionings for this event, you can just click on CC and then show subtitle. And now San Mateo County Libraries would like to introduce Anna Voloshyna, who was born and raised in the Ukraine before moving to the Bay Area. Anna started working as a food photographer and stylist, helping chefs and culinary brands tell their stories through photography. After many successes, Anna was finally offered a chance to unveil her own food-making talents through hosting Eastern European pop-up dinners. Her Georgian Khachapuri nights and Ukrainian Vareniki, hope I'm pronouncing that right, Vareniki feasts became a delicious sensation in the San Francisco culinary community. And now Anna's goal is to make people fall in love with Eastern European food through every little Ukrainian dumpling, fluffy garlic pampushki, and every single bowl of luscious borscht, as found in her stunning new cookbook, Budmo, Recipes from a Ukrainian Kitchen. Welcome, Anna.
Hello, hello. I'm so happy to be here. Welcome, guys, into my San Francisco kitchen. And I'm just excited to cook with you today. And if you cook along with me, yay. If you're not, we have recipes for you so you can cook any day of the week. And these recipes I chose for you today, both are from my book, and they are very, very springy. So first recipe we'll make is a herby tvorog spread, and basically it's a cheese spread. And tvorog, if you don't know, it's a famous Ukrainian and Eastern European cheese, and it's very fresh, it's young, it's delicious, and we use it for many recipes in Ukraine, starting from savory, like this one's like this spread, and then we bake with it, and then we stuff it into our dumplings and our pastries. So it's like I think one of the foundation stones of Ukrainian and Eastern European cuisine. And it's not the easiest thing to find in the Bay Area. So I have a recipe in the book if you want to make it from scratch. You can also substitute this one with the Bulgarian feta, which is very creamy, and it has the same feel to it. The only thing you need to find the brand that works for this recipe, or add a little bit of yogurt. So the brand that we're looking for will have the not the crumbled feta, but the one in a block. And then when you start crumbling it, it will be very creamy and luscious. If it crumbles and you feel the dry crumbs, you just add a little bit of yogurt, and it will make the whole spread very creamy. And then you don't have to add salt because feta is already salty. If you want to use tvorog, of course, you can make it from scratch, and it's much easier than you think. And then we luckily have a lot of Eastern European stores in the Bay Area and in San Francisco as well. So you can go and find a bunch of those on the shelves. It's usually in the refrigerator, but I would tell you that nothing can match the one you make from scratch. So guys, today I'm out of my homemade tvorog because I made a ton of Ukrainian vareniki, which are similar to pierogi, and they're our national treasure, our national dumplings. So I thought I have some tvorog in my freezer. One thing, tvorog freezes amazingly well. And the name tvorog is actually the one they use in Poland and Russia, but in Ukraine we call it syr, and syr means cheese. So when we say cheese, syr, we mean any type of cheese. But then we say syr, and people in Ukraine immediately, for some reason, understand that this is the fresh one. Very funny, because we have some of those things in Ukraine when one thing means totally different dishes, but for some reason everybody just gets that from the context. So let's start cooking. This is our first dish, and the second dish. I want to get you guys excited. The second one is the one that I love the most in my book, like the most beloved condiment ever. And this is our Ukrainian spicy and sour tomatoes, which is my mom's recipe. And these tomatoes are pickled, and I will talk more about them. But I just want you guys to get excited. So let's do the tvorog spread. Everything is from the book. This is the recipe and how it looks in the book. We usually serve it on top of some rye bread or dense like sprouted bread, or the bread with like a lot of seeds, just because it just complements it very, very well. And it kind of reminds me of some Scandinavian food, and we have many similarities with Scandinavian cuisine. So this is just one of those. And guys, if you have any questions, please type them, ask them. I would love to answer. And it doesn't have to be about these particular recipes, maybe about Ukrainian culture in general. And as you will notice soon, I talk a lot. So if you want me to slow down, we'll do that as well. So for this recipe, I'm using about 8 ounces of this wonderful crumbled creamy feta, and this is sheep's milk feta, the one they have in Bulgaria, and we love it in Ukraine as well. And it's a perfect substitution for our Ukrainian soft cheese syr. And if you have 9 ounces, it will work as well. So in Ukraine, nobody follows exact recipes. We all taste stuff, and then, okay, this needs more salt, this needs more pepper. And we are very easygoing with like seasoning and methods. People are very particular about their borscht, because they're like, okay, my borscht is the best. This is the only right way to make borscht. I think all borscht is beautiful, so I don't have an opinion about that. I love my borscht. But with every other recipe, it's pretty much easygoing. So like just make it, taste it, adjust the texture, it will be just great. So for this one, I recommended to use fresh soft herbs. And again, in Ukraine, this one is more of a spring dish, because when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of access to fresh herbs during winter. So when they appeared on the farmer's market, that was the time to make this spread. And my mom would usually use a combination of parsley and dill, and I like to add a pinch of dill to mine, or a little bit of tarragon. So you can mix and match the herbs, but just keep in mind that one herb needs to be the main star. And usually I make dill the main star, and then everyone else is kind of like a supporting actors, like the very supporting nice group. So I will use a good bunch of fresh dill for this one, and I'm not measuring, I'm just feeling the moment. And I will roughly chop this. You don't have to be precise with this one, just because we'll all get nicely chopped in this wonderful device. And then I will use a few leaves of mint, and as you can tell, I have giant mint, and I just foraged it recently, so it smells so wonderful. And I will just roughly slice it like that. And then a little bit of parsley leaves. And for any recipe you make, I highly recommend you to pick just the leaves, because parsley stems, they tend to get bitter and the texture is not nice. They are kind of more woody, and the more mature the parsley is, the woodier the stalks are. So you will definitely get that bitterness from parsley if you will add it. So don't do it. Don't use the stems, use just the leaves. And if you want to add a little bit of basil or something that you really like, do it. And you don't have to make dill the star of the show. I just do it because this is the herb I grew up eating. And in Ukraine, I think dill is on top of pretty much everything. Parsley is on the second place, and everything else is just far behind, like far behind. So everything is there, and you can always add a glass or more. Just aim for like about half a cup of herbs. Just add a little bit of dill here. And then you can add 1 clove of garlic or many more cloves of garlic. It's your call. This should be garlicky. You should feel the flavor of garlic, but not a lot of people like it. Like a lot of people like it, but not everyone. So just decide where your flavor leads you. And then a little bit of black pepper. And I think we're pretty good to go. Like that. So another cool tip I learned from a chef I work for is if you don't, and he hates the raw garlic, by the way. He loves the garlic flavor, but not when it's raw. So if you want to keep the flavor of garlic, but remove that harsh bite, you just blanch the garlic for about 30 seconds to 1 minute in hot boiling water. Then drain it, let it cool down, or just drop it into an ice water. And this is it. The garlic still has garlicky smell, but it doesn't have that raw garlic bite. Hey guys, so we are moving and I'm wearing my headphones. Hopefully you will not hear too much noise, but I apologize if you do. Okay, we'll be brief. I'm just pulsing this. And you can leave this chunky or you can go completely smooth, but remember we'll still add some grated cucumber. So if you want to go smooth, the texture will be added with the grated cucumber. Okay, so this is what I have now. It's not completely smooth, but everything is well incorporated. I don't see any chunks of garlic. I see my herbs finely chopped. And the thing is, when you cannot tell which herbs is where, you did a great job. So this is cool. And I will put everything into this bowl. And then I will grate some cucumber. And this is also the addition that my mom does all the time, and it just adds the freshness and the vibrancy, and this tastes like spring to me. But one thing, you just need to squeeze your cucumber and make sure you squeeze out as much juice as possible, because if you will not do that, you know, cucumbers are watery. And the spread will be very watery and you will not be able to spread it. So we don't want that. And this one is great on this like dense dark bread, but it's also awesome with, and guys, I have a recipe for that as well, with some roasted vegetables or fresh vegetables like crudité. You just serve this one with the crunchy fresh veggies, and it's a nice healthy dip. And another recipe I have, hopefully I will find it fast, because I have no clue where my, like, I don't remember the pages. That's the problem. So this is the recipe. And if you will just have some roasted peppers, you can stuff this beautiful spread inside, and it's just the loveliest stuffed appetizer ever. And then just drizzle a little bit of olive oil or sunflower oil on top. Done. Okay, and now what I will do, oh, it's good. So I didn't add any salt. I want to taste it. I'm sure it doesn't need any salt, like doesn't need salt at all. So good. I like this cheese because it still has the tanginess, the same tanginess that Korok has. And now I'm using this large holes to grate my cucumber. You can use smaller ones. but I like the texture, so I will use the large ones. And guys, careful, this is a death trap. This is so sharp, so I just told Cloud before the event that I cut myself with this one more than I cut myself with any knife. Okay, and now I forgot to tell you that I have a little puppy here, which is a mini husky, and he smells cucumber because this dog likes veggies more than he likes any meat. So he's begging for a slice of cucumber now, and he may appear in the screen at some point. He's always here with me, but when I invite him to make an appearance, he's always running away. That's the problem. Okay. And this is what I have to squeeze my cucumber properly. I'll just put everything here. Put it over a bowl, just squeeze. And you see how much juice is there. I have no plans on using this cucumber juice, but honestly, if I was not that lazy, I would just make a gazpacho or something like that. Well, the season is not right, but you can add cucumber juice to your gazpacho, you can add it to your salad dressings. It's nice. Okay. And now we can mix everything together. And this is it. We have our spread. And I love it on my morning toast. And guys, with a bagel, it is so good. Like nice bagel toasted, this one on top, and a little bit of lox. Come on, this is great. And you can put it into an airtight container and keep it in your fridge for a couple of days. I would say 3 days is very safe. 4 day might be a stretch, but taste it. I think 3 days is totally safe and will taste exactly the same. Okay, this is what we have. This is the texture, and it's like you cannot even see the cucumber in that. Just blends very, very nicely. And another thing I like to use this one for, I should plate it nicely. Okay, I'll plate it. Sometimes I roast potatoes, and they just spread this one on the bottom of the platter and just top it with crispy roasted potatoes, and it just balances the flavor of the potato. It adds just this interesting spin. Okay, so this is it, and I'll put a little bit of dill, and we have our first dish here. Okay, the next one is, guys, is something different. It's one of my favorite recipes for pickles. And the reason is because the pickling liquid is not just your regular vinegar and water. This is totally different. We are making the most delicious pickling liquid / savory smoothie. So we'll add a bunch of herbs, garlic, oil, then vinegar, sugar, and bell peppers, green bell peppers, and spicy jalapeno, and it will just come together and will create the most umami forward, spice and salty and sweet liquid that will just transform any tomatoes into something absolutely magical. And this recipe is even good when there's no tomatoes on the farmer's market. So you can go to, guys, and this is a secret, Costco, and get their Campari. And those tomatoes work so nicely with this recipe. So these are Campari tomatoes, not from Costco, but I use the Costco brand a lot. I think they have very good tomatoes there. So for this recipe, even when it's tomato season and it's coming, it's very near. Use something like that. Early girl, pearl tomatoes, or Campari are the best tomatoes for these recipes because the size is right. They will pickle fast, but they will hold the shape. So we will slice them in halves to create this surface for absorbing the delicious marinade. And then they will just hold the shape because these babies can stay in the jar for 2 months in your fridge and they will just get better and better and better. My mom swears she can keep them there in the fridge for the whole winter. I don't trust her. In like my family with my husband, it's only 2 of us and dog does not eat those tomatoes. We go through those jars so fast. It's not even funny. It's like I always have them in my fridge. It cannot last more than 2 weeks. This is it. So I don't know what she's talking about, but I'll trust her. So what we want to do, we are slicing the tomato in half. And this is the coolest trick I've learned there. Like I didn't think I can learn anything about slicing tomatoes, but I learned it. So guys, on every tomato, you can find a line from this center, like it goes right here. And if you will follow that line, you will have the most perfect slice. Like you will go straight in half and the tomato will produce the most beautiful cut. So no seeds will fall off. And I did it it was a gig for like a big brand. And the food stylist who was in charge of everything, she told me that. And I'm like, oh my God, my life will never be the same. So it's a lot of fun, but you need a good lighting. So basically, if you will see like that, it has the line. And now I just follow the line here. And for this recipe, you can also use cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes. And I think cherries are better because I like round shape more. But yeah, you need to, heirloom tomatoes are no go, and Roma tomatoes I don't like as well, because Roma tomatoes, they have a lot of flesh and they don't produce enough flavor to my taste. So this recipe works when the tomato juice starts leaking and it blends with the pickling liquid and just creates this beautiful symphony of flavor. And that's why everybody loves this recipe so much. And like, honestly, during my dinners, when all tomatoes are gone, people are pouring this pickling liquid into shots and drink it because it's that good. And like, I'm selling this thing to you and like, I'm thinking to myself, oh God, hopefully you will like it as much as I do. So I'm just slicing my tomatoes in half. This is it. And for the recipe, I called for 2 pounds of tomatoes, but I usually don't measure. I just fill this jar and pour the liquid on top. And the thing is, if you feel like you don't have enough of pickling liquid, it's fine. You just add a little bit of oil and a splash of vinegar, just shake, 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 and until you fill the jar. And this is it. It's all will work out just beautifully. So there is no reason to stress about the recipes. Everything will be fine. Okay, and I'm like, my kitchen light is not great. I'm barely can see the line, but I'm trying. I'm doing my best to follow the line here. So this is it. And like this recipe can save the most flavorless tomatoes. They just need to be kind of sort of the right shape and size, because like I tried it with the heirloom tomatoes and I don't feel it because they're like weirdly shaped most of the time, and just you need to slice them into like wedges and then they fall apart. We need halves here because the skin will hold the pulp, because the tomatoes will change the texture a lot. Like you will feel in a week, I would say this is the best time when you should start eating that. I usually do this experiment when I have a cooking class. I bring my tomatoes with me already made, but then we make some tomatoes during the class and I let people taste them side by side. So for me, when they're just freshly made, they're delicious, but they taste more like a salad to me. And my mom loves them like that. But my personal opinion is you should start eating them no sooner than day 3. And then after day 3, they only get better. It's like, it's pure magic. And then for 2 months, you will slowly see the changes in color of the pickling liquid, because we are using everything fresh and we're using everything green, which is very important. This is the only reason I'm calling for green bell pepper, is to keep the whole pickling liquid color green. You can use red bell pepper and you can use yellow and orange, but the flavor will be as good. The problem is the color. It will not give you this wonderful contrast of red and green. And like you can tell, I kind of have this thing for like, I have red flowers, I have green here. So it's like, I like when food looks great, not only delicious. So this is what we'll do here. We'll just fill this jar with tomatoes. And then I will blend everything in my blender. But if you don't have a good blender, well, first of all, if you have a food processor, you can do everything there. And you can go as smooth or as chunky with this pickling liquid. I would say the blender will produce the most vibrant color, just because everything will be nicely blended and the color will be so vibrant and just like popping. So I like using blender, but in food processor you will have the same flavors basically, but slightly chunkier texture. And I think the color will be less neon green, more like deep green. But other than that, it's all good. And I call for distilled white vinegar in this recipe, but you don't have to do that, because the only rule here is to use neutral vinegar, because balsamic will add a lot of flavor and a lot of darkness to the sauce, because the color is very dense, so it will kind of make the color less pretty, and I would not recommend that. But the safe vinegars to use here is apple cider, white wine vinegar, and rice vinegar, champagne vinegar if you want to be fancy. Or the simplest one we use in Ukraine is, and the cheapest one, is distilled white vinegar. Today I have some cider vinegar because I have it at home and it's a lot, so I need to keep using that. And then depending on the vinegar you use and depending on the brand you use, you will adjust the saltiness and the amount of sugar you're adding. And this is it. Basically, other than that, it will just make the flavor slightly different, but not too much. But with other like black vinegar or like some strong vinegars, they can interact with flavor in that way that like we will lose the original flavor. We don't want that. Okay, I'm stopping here. This is it. I filled my jar, and now I will use this green bell pepper. That I'm just going around, so the core is here, but it's not nicely cut. And honestly, at this point, everything will go into the blender, so no reason to cut nicely or precise. You just cut it into big chunks, and this is it. And the next ingredient is jalapeno. And again, if you don't like spicy stuff, just skip jalapeno, just add more green bell pepper. I love spicy stuff, and I think even though if you will taste this marinade, you will feel, oh my god, this is like vinegary and strong, but the tomatoes are unseasoned and they will absorb a lot of those flavors, and they will give a bunch of liquid as well. So it will be at the end of the day not as pungent, but we need that like super vibrant flavor. And if you think my mouth is like watering now because I know the flavor. If you think, oh my God, this is like intense but delicious, this is what we're looking for, because we need the intense pickling liquid. Okay, and here, of course, another thing, if you want less heat, just make sure you remove all the seeds here and the white membranes, because this is where the heat is coming from. And honestly, every jalapeno is different, so taste your jalapeno first, and then you might not need to remove anything because it's not spicy at all. This one barely has any spice, so I'm not even bothering with that. I'll just put everything in there. I don't mind any seeds because everything will be blended, and hopefully I'll get at least some heat from these seeds because the jalapeno is not hot at all. Okay. See, I'm like, this is chunky. Okay, it's there. And for the herbs, here is another blend, and this is personally my favorite, cilantro, which is not the herb of Ukraine, but I learned how to appreciate it here in the United States. And when I came here, I could not eat anything with cilantro, and because maybe I ate it twice in my life before coming here, and then I came to California and oh my God, everything is with cilantro, I will die here. My first thought was like, I will starve because cilantro is everywhere and I don't like it. And then I'm like, oh my God, no, I will start eating it little by little, and it didn't happen. And I was very upset. And then one day I just woke up and I realized I want cilantro. And I went and bought a bunch of fresh cilantro, and I loved it ever since. And in this recipe, I think cilantro is the star. It's the most delicious herb, and it will just bring the flavor together. If you don't like cilantro, make your own blend. Use parsley, use dill, use basil, and I will add a little bit. So today I will, cilantro is the star, and I'm using all of it. And it's almost a full bunch. A little less, and with the cilantro you can use stems as well, and I encourage you to use the stems. And here I have some fresh basil. I don't like to put too much because in Ukraine we don't use a lot of basil, but honestly now my mom gave me the recipe with her herbs. I switched it up, and now she's using my recipe, which is kind of cool. I'll add just a few leaves, maybe like 8 leaves of basil, and then a touch of parsley, a decent amount of dill, of course. Without dill, it's not a Ukrainian food. Dill is a must. And with basil, the same. You don't use the stems just because they can get bitter, and your food can, you will feel it, you'll taste it. Okay. I think this is it. And now, if I remember correctly, in the recipe, it's 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 tablespoon of salt, but we'll double check that. This is like, see, I make this recipe so much and I never follow the exact proportions, just because peppers are different and I like to taste everything. And I encourage everyone to taste their food and adjust because the produce is different. You never know. Okay. Okay, 2 tablespoons sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt. Awesome. And 1/3 of a cup of sunflower oil. And again, sunflower oil is something we use in Ukraine, and this is the most authentic flavor for me, but you don't have to do it. Just use any neutral oil, for example, grapeseed or refined olive oil. Don't use extra virgin because the flavor will be dramatically different. I don't recommend that. But grapeseed, avocado oil, then sunflower, and vegetable oil I don't like because you cannot control, like vegetable is too vague for me. You never know what they put in it. And usually it's not a good stuff because the price is not right as well. So any neutral good oil that you like, because you will pretty much taste it in the recipe. Okay, so approximately 1/3 of a cup. I think this is it. Well, pretty 1/3. And 1/3 of a cup of vinegar, salt and sugar. And if you want heat but you don't have jalapeno, add a pinch of chili flakes. Okay, and then I will taste everything and we'll adjust. Okay, guys, again, the noise, I'm sorry. It's okay. Okay, done. You see the color is amazing. So I will taste it and then I will decide if I want any more salt. Yeah, more salt and more vinegar. Oh, the spice is coming through, yay. So with the seeds and all of the membranes, it got almost to the spice level I wanted. Okay, so I will add, it's probably 1.5 tablespoons, maybe 1 tablespoon of oil. And I will add a little bit of salt. This is it. Just blend it together. Just a pinch of salt. And this is it. Maybe I will need more liquid. We'll see. I will not reach for that. Okay. And now everything goes here. Well, this is perfect. Okay. I'll push, well, first of all, spray everything. Okay, this is nice. So this is the perfect amount. See, it covered all of my tomatoes, and I would show, yeah, see, they are covered. So at this point, and pretty time sensitive because we want to close it as soon as possible to not let the air in because it will start oxidizing. Of course, the vinegar helps with vibrancy, but still. And you see the contrast is amazing. I would just put it into my fridge and forget about it for 3 days. And after day 3, you can start tasting, and then it will just get just better and better from that. Label your jar so you know when you made it. I'm not labeling this one because I'm taking it to my other class. And by the way, if you want to join me in person, I'm doing a class in San Francisco this Friday at the Civic Kitchen Cooking School. And at the Civic Kitchen, we'll have the theme of the cooking classes they have there this few months is flatbreads around the world, and my class will be about pyrishki and the variations of those. So it's basically a pan-fried yeasted dough stuffed with the best stuff ever, like pretty much anything, but I'm making grated apples and then cheese, and another one is chicken and minced green onion. So we're making that, and it will go with vinaigrette salad. So if you want to join me in person, a couple of spots are open, and I'm taking these tomatoes with me there just because this is the perfect time. They will have a few days, and by the Friday evening, they will be good to go. And I think I'm done with my demos, and I would love to hear your questions and everything. And I'm just ready for you guys.
Thank you so much for that, Anna. We had a couple questions. Would you happen to have some in the fridge that you could show us that have already been fermenting for a few days?
Oh,
great.
Yeah. Okay. And they are almost, I say, definitely older than a month, for sure. And they are, you see, the color is less green, but it's still pretty green. I want to put them somewhere. And I used my leftover grape tomatoes because sometimes I get too much of stuff. And if you have leftovers, this is the best thing to do. And also this exact same marinade, you can pour it over cucumbers, and in one day you will have the most delicious pickled cucumbers. So I wonder if we can start pickling peppers with them. But I don't like peppery stuff on peppery stuff. So okay, I'll come closer. Sorry, I'm like disappear for a sec. So
Oh yes.
yeah, oh my God, I'm making a mess here. I knew I should stay in place here.
So then how would you serve the tomatoes? Like obviously by themselves, I'm sure they're absolutely delicious, but would you pair them with something, or how do you typically
so
serve them?
they usually served as pickles on the side, and then most of the time with vodka or something like that. So you just have a little bit of vodka, chase the shot with the tomato. I wish you could see the texture, because it's like it holds together, but the texture is softer and juicier, and it will just explode in your mouth with this burst of amazing flavors. So usually I would just, if I need to cut the richness of a dish, for example, if I'm making Ukrainian version of polenta and some meat stew, I will just serve this on the side, just to make sure we have something vibrant and acidic to cut the richness.
Thank you. And then someone was asking, do the tomatoes have to be fully submerged to prevent?
Yes.
Okay.
But there is a trick. Well, first of all, you can use some, I would not weigh down too much, but what my mom does, she just make sure you have like the tightest lid possible, screw it all the way, and just flip the tomatoes for 2 days like that, and then flip them over. So it will help the tomatoes to get pickled all the way.
Wow, that's a good tip. Thank you. So we also had some people wondering how long ago you moved to the Bay Area and how you like living here.
I love it here. I found my people here. I found my beloved passion of like making food for people. I moved here, well, now it's 11.5 years ago. I lived in Palo Alto in Menlo Park, and then we decided to move with my husband to move to the city right before the pandemic. And it was an interesting choice because we paid the highest rate possible for the apartment, but it was the right move because I couldn't teach my offline classes. I couldn't do any pop-ups because everything was closed. And then I didn't have a good kitchen in Menlo Park, and this kitchen is so perfect for the cooking classes. So I started hosting online classes and invited people from all over the world into my kitchen, and it was a lot of fun and much needed distraction during the pandemic.
Yeah, and your kitchen is beautiful in this apartment. Lovely. We actually had a question about your classes. Do you have any more cooking classes coming at the Draeger's cooking school anytime soon?
Well, I had one rescheduled, but the date is not scheduled. I think we'll have some this summer. And I post everything on my website, which is annavoloshyna.com, or on my Instagram, and it's Anna Voloshyna Cooks. And please, guys, follow me. If you make any of my recipes, tag me. I love to see them. I love reposting and giving you a shout out. So yeah, please, let's get connected.
Thank you. And what does Budmo mean? We have some.
Oh yeah, it's a very, that's the most common question. So the literal translation from Ukrainian is "let us be." We use this word Budmo when instead of cheers. So when we say a toast, and after the toast is done, before we drink, we say Budmo. We just like click our glasses, and this "let us be" meaning means let us be healthy, let us be together, let us enjoy this moment. And I wanted my book to be about celebration of Ukrainian culture. And it was way before I finished the book before the world war in Ukraine started, and it was just such a weird timing. But at the same time, this book gave me the platform to fundraise for Ukraine, to do pre-sale of the book and donate money to charities I really wanted to support, like World Central Kitchen and stuff like that. So this book became a celebration even in this darkest times.
Thank you. Yeah, that's lovely. So what do you want the readers to take away from your book? Like, what should they know about Ukraine and its food? Is there a special message?
Yeah. I want people to see that Ukrainian food is so far beyond the cabbage and potatoes. And we have a lot of fresh dishes. We love to play with the recipes. And we have a ton to offer. And like in my dreams, in my fantasies, Ukrainian cuisine will be the next it cuisine. So everybody will, all over the world, will start opening Ukrainian restaurants and cooking Ukrainian food. And I just want to show people that Ukraine right now going through the toughest period in my lifetime for sure, but in a lifetime, like for many people, it's a lot. And we are fighting for our culture, we are fighting for our freedom, and these are the recipes we are fighting for. And when the war just started, in a couple of months of war, Ukrainian chefs got together and they wanted UNICEF to proclaim and UNESCO to proclaim borscht as a Ukrainian intangible treasure. And for many people that was weird, like, why are you doing this? Like, you don't have any more important stuff. But that was our first step towards reclaiming our culture, reclaiming our culinary culture and our dishes, because we wanted the world to know that Russia does not own borscht and Russia does not own Ukraine. And we will fight for our country, for our culture, and for our borscht. So this is the message that our culture is beautiful. This is what we are fighting for. We'll keep going. Please join us at the table and celebrate with us our victory, hopefully soon. But just by cooking Ukrainian dishes, you're already helping. By spreading the word and sharing the recipe, you are keep the conversation going. And this is important, and it's very important. So keep cooking with me, keep cooking with other Ukrainian chefs, keep buying the books, and support the culture.
Thank you for that, Anna. So you mentioned that your mom now follows your recipe for the spicy sour tomatoes. What did she do differently initially before you said basil is not something that you would typically use, but how did she like to make it?
So first of all, she didn't think about using only green peppers. And now she's like, yeah, that makes the difference. The appearance is much more vibrant. And then basil, yes. So she would, and this is the problem of a lot of Ukrainian cooks. They are very easygoing at the kitchen, but at the same time, they are very constrained by the flavors they know. And it's hard to make them use another flavors and get more creative. I'm not talking about restaurant chefs, I'm talking more about home cooks. So Ukrainian food is very good, but it lacks this modern touch and modern approach, because Ukrainian culture was so closed in the USSR for so long. We did not exchange the ingredients, we did not trade with other countries. So basically no other cuisines could penetrate. So we still have this closed mind towards cooking, and my mom is no exception. She's an amazing cook, but she would not think about like cilantro and other herbs like tarragon, something like that. Although we use tarragon and we use basil now in our day-to-day cooking, but mixing something into this very traditional and like the dish, it's something that not a lot of people do. So I'm happy that she follows my lead, let's say that. I'm like, it's a bold statement, but let's do it. She's not listening to me.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And then can you tell us a little bit about the Eastern European culinary scene that you've discovered in the Bay Area?
There is none.
There's
So
not,
this is,
except for
yeah,
you, right? Now
we
you're
can
here.
we can put a period. Yeah, no, we don't have a scene here. We have some restaurants that cook a lot of Soviet dishes, and I think it's a long way to go. And I just want to inspire people to get and look closer into our culture and cuisine and maybe find something exciting for themselves, because we see how Japanese and Scandinavian cuisine just kind of slowly penetrated different restaurants. And even if this restaurant is not Japanese, they will be inspired by the methods and the practices, and they will do it. Same with the greatest restaurant in Denmark, Noma. They kind of pioneered that foraging mentality, the preservation mentality, and everybody now doing that. But they started it in a very far country, and they actually using a lot of Japanese techniques as well. So I feel like at this time and age, it's okay to blend different cultures. We just need to be very respectful and just get the inspiration, but make it our own. So hopefully we'll have a scene of Eastern European foods here soon.
Or perhaps
like,
you'll open a restaurant. Any plans to open your own restaurant one day?
Not right now. I always say that I love my life so much that I don't want to give it up for restaurant, because I know it will take over my life. Maybe not forever, but for a long time. And maybe next year I'll be ready and I will open it. Not that I didn't have any offers. I had, but I'm still enjoying my life so much.
And you can teach other chefs with your classes.
I would love that. This is my goal, to spread the word, to support other authors and restaurateurs and chefs. And if they need any help, I'm here.
Fantastic. So you talk about the markets that you used to buy your ingredients from in the Ukraine. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience, like what it was like for you?
Yeah, of course. Oh, that's a very very cheerful memories, and we call them bazaars. And those farmers markets, so basically you know everyone there, and it's usually very small. It's not even farmers, but small artisans or just small households that have one cow or like goats or something, and they just will go to the farmers market and sell this one thing, or like 3 things, and this is it. And you will find like dozens and dozens of those people who are just like selling fresh farmer's cheese or fresh milk, and you get to know them, and you know the name of every cow, and you know, like, okay, this cow gives the best milk. So you just know, and this creates this deep, meaningful connections between your produce and the stuff you feed your family with. And you don't want to waste when you know how hard people work for that food, how where the food is coming from, that like you don't buy your chicken at the grocery store. You go and somebody just slaughtered that chicken a day ago or like this morning, and you have the freshest chicken and you cannot waste it. This is it. You know that it's a precious life, and I learned to appreciate it very young, because my grandma, she had chickens and ducks, and everybody in Ukraine has like a small piece of land with like vegetables or fruits. And if you don't grow something yourself, you just make connections and buy it from trusted sources. So it's a very, very special place, and it's a fun place. All the gossips, oh my God. People, like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like people go to learn gossips there more than they need the food. And when I was little, we didn't have any major grocery stores, like tiny shops. So only when I was a teenager, and like, when I was teenager, it's about like 13, 12, we could go to a larger town and they had a grocery store, a big one. So we could get some fancy stuff like the cool ice cream from another country. But other than those little fun treats, we bought everything in the farmer's market and we cooked everything ourselves. I didn't go to a restaurant until I was 16, maybe twice, like for French fries or something. But most of the time, everything was homemade, home cooked, beautiful and delicious. And to this day, I cook a lot at home. I try to, like, I love restaurants because this is part of my work, to just meet people, eat their food and get inspired. But to this day, I feel this deep connections. I go to farmers market and cook my food at home as fresh as possible.
Oh, lovely. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think we have time for a couple more questions. Let's see. How did you get into food blogging? Like, what was it like in the beginning?
That was tough in the beginning because my English was not good. I didn't know a thing about food photography. And I came here without work permit. I followed my husband who had a tech job. And for 5 years, I could not legally work here. So what should I do? Like, I started cooking, writing recipes, and slowly I learned everything about food photography. And when the time was right and I got my work permit, I could start working as a food photographer right away because I created a portfolio. And then I started working with food startups and then slowly with chefs. And now I don't do food photography for anyone but myself. And all the photos from my book, I did them, including the cover. So I was very happy that I had the skill ready when the time was right. And I presented the skill. I'm like, okay, I want to control all the photography in my book. And my publisher was not against that. So it was fun. And I don't do photography like for other people now. Sometimes I work with brands and like help them tell their story, and but with my food and my recipes. But no, like I don't work for hire anymore. Now, like if somebody wants to hire me for something, it's most of the time like fun food projects. Like I did a cookbook with one like celebrity chef, and it was a lot of fun. It's all about grilling and stuff. It's a ton of fun. And I work with for major brands, sometimes like help people style their food or do something like or cook the food. But I know that there are more talented and skilled photographers for like some commercial shoots, because I like to shoot fresh food and like fresh from my stove or like from my oven. I like, this is my passion. Like I want to tell stories about my food, not about someone else's food.
Right. So is there another cookbook in the works right now?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
exciting. Can you give us a little clue before we finish? What is
Yes, so it will go deeper into Eastern European culinary traditions. It will focus a lot on making stuff from scratch and like more fermentation, more fermented dairy. And then all of those wonderful stuff will be used as a base for vibrant modern dishes with the inspiration from Eastern Europe, but the dishes that you can cook at home every day for dinner. And this is not something you will think, oh my God, my kids will think it's weird. No, I want to show people that you can make your sour cream at home and it's easy. It's so easy, and you can reduce the waste and you can bring more flavor and more healthy habits to your household. And then it just like goes from there. A lot of vibrant, fun recipes, a lot of stories from Ukraine. And I really want to go to Ukraine to shoot the book this year. So fingers crossed.
So exciting. Thank you. So I guess we could follow along on your website for when that's going to be released. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Anna, for that amazing food demo. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Please check out San Mateo County's upcoming author talks at smcl.org/author talks. And we'd also appreciate it if you can tell us how we did with this program at smcl.org/rate this event. And we hope you all have a good night, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure cooking with you. And hopefully these recipes will bring you joy and happiness. And happy cooking, guys. I hope to see you at one of my classes in person. And have a good night.
Thank you, Anna. I'm going to go to
Thank you.
Costco and buy some Campari tomatoes and try it out.
Do it. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks.